What's up, warriors? Uh, Dr. Rick Wallace of the Visionetics Institute dropping in on you, hopefully, to share some inspiring and encouraging information, inspiration. Real quickly, it's easy for people to look at people who have experienced some level of success or are doing something that they're passionate about and happy about and get this idea that life has given them some sort of pathway that is unique or extraordinary, and those opportunities only exist for them. One of the biggest things that we tend to do to ourselves is ascribe some level of exaggerated sense of talent to those who are successful. And what I can tell you is when it comes to success, that should be this introductory moniker that says no talent required. Success isn't about talent. I know some immensely, extraordinarily talented people who have not experienced success. And I know some people, if you go into their lives and look at them and look at what they started with and see how they just simply refuse not to lose. And that's one of my favorite quotes too from Jay-Z, whether you like him or not. One of my favorite quotes is, and he said it in more than one song, is the only rule is I will not lose. And the mindset behind that is what guarantees victory. Victory and success is not about circumventing failure. Failure is going to happen. You're not going to be successful every time you step out of the box to go do something. That's not what success is. Success is your response to the failures. Success is the mindset that interprets what happens when it doesn't go your way. Success is your ability to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, turn yourself around and say, okay, it didn't work that way. What's next? I didn't get it done that way. What do I need to do to better prepare when I step out there again? How am I going to go after this? Success is the person who refused to quit when it got tough. Success is the person who saw that they wanted something but didn't have the skill set, the resources, or the right mindset to have it, but determined in themselves that that would be the first step to getting what they wanted. In other words, I'm not where I want to be right now because I'm not who I need to be in order to have it. So I'm going to make sure that I work on me to better prepare me to be the person I need to be, to have what I need to have. I say it all the time. In order to have the things that most people don't have, you're going to have to be willing to do the things that most people don't do. So you can't be a trend chaser. You can't be a person that is good with being being accepted within the crowd and being in the midst of pondering at the pool of popularity or meandering through the maze of mediocrity. You're going to have to be a person that is willing to stand alone sometime, to be ostracized sometime, to be talked about sometime, to not be in the conversation of the popular. And then as a person who considers and takes somewhat pride in being well read, I'm a person who over the last 15 years have made it a very serious commitment to read 100 books a year. It's challenging with everything that I take on, but I read way more than I talk. So you know how much I talk. So that tells you how much I read. It's my goal to read 100 books a year. I have written and published 18. 19 will be dropping in July. Number 19 will be dropping in July. And yet I'm going to tell you something. A person that I have an utmost respect for, a person that I started following a while back because I heard about some of the unbelievable physical accomplishments that he had. But when I started to follow him and research him, I found out that his greatest accomplishments were the spiritual and psychological accomplishments that allowed him to push through some of these unbelievable physical barriers. And his name is David Goggins. And something that David said that totally blew me away and I totally embraced it was that everybody reads all these experiences in books. And you know me, I'm a person who believes in studying and learning and all that. He says, but the greatest book you'll ever read is the book that you're writing every day in your own life. And that's on the inside of you. All of the answers on the inside. You know, while the book or the lecturer or the speaker or the coach or whatever you have may serve a purpose in igniting a passion, in helping you identify and define a passion, it's going to take you being willing to look on the inside and read that book. Read the book you've written. Find out why things are going the way they're going because of what you've written. It's happening just as you have written it. But you can change what you're writing. You can change chapters. You can change focus. You can change environments. You can change plots, plans, schemes. You can change all of that, and you can start writing a new one right now, today. But you got to be willing to read that book. In my introduction this morning, every morning I start out my morning priming myself. When I finish priming, when I finish going through what I'm going through, I'll come on at some point after that and I'll say hello. And it's normally with a Good Morning Warriors introduction with some saying at the bottom. This morning was your greatest challenge. Good morning, Warriors. Your greatest challenge is the reflection in the mirror. And what they're saying is when you meet that challenge, when you look in the mirror and you meet that challenge, everything else will start to fall into place. Your greatest challenge is you. The greatest thing you're moving up against is the enemy on the inside. When you start to read that book on the inside and you start to see what it is, you can look at it. But what I can tell you is also, no matter where you're at in life, I'm at right now, I'm going through some immense challenges. Last year, I'm in the process of going through financial recovery, financial rebuilding, restructuring, doing some things differently. I hit some major snags and I was rebuilding. The one thing I could tell you, though, once you got it, once you learn it, hitting a snag or having to go through and do something different or start over doesn't mean anything to you because you've done it already. You know it's possible. You just go out and you do it. But in the midst of rebuilding, I had a major physical setback. I was in ICU for 4.5 days and I had lost the capacity to use both arms. I'm not going to go into the details of it. Those of you who have followed me know this. So now I'm in the process of trying to rebuild my financial infrastructure and my financial identity. And now here I am under physical attack. And now I can't even dress myself. I can't bathe myself. Thank God for my wife, who was my fiance at the time. But thank God for her. But I mean, that is mentally, emotionally, and psychologically humbling. And if you don't have the intestinal fortitude, the mental fortitude, the spiritual fortitude, the psychological fortitude to face that, you're going to have problems. That's the problems that many of us have. What's up, Clarice, man? It's good to have you here. You are a representation of what I'm talking about today. So hang in there, man. So when I had that physical setback, when I looked up and I could no longer dress myself, bathe myself, and I'm already in the middle of rebuilding myself financially. Now I've got to rebuild myself physically because physically I'm torn up. So now financially, I've got something staring at me. Physically, I've got something staring at me. Emotionally too, because now I'm looking at this and going, what the heck can I do? And then I'm looking at, okay, now I'm about to take on something else because I'm about to marry this woman. And all of this is staring at me. But what happens is when I decided out of all the books I've read, 100 a year, since 2004, 100 a year, the book that I read the most, and the book that mattered at that moment was that internal book that I had been writing all of my life. Now, while it had some failures in it, some poor decisions in it, there were some things inside of that book that reminded me I didn't know my father. I never knew my father. My father, the first time I ever saw him was in a casket. But I made it. I came out of an impoverished situation in an impoverished environment, and I made it. I went up against some challenges over and over again. They told me that I would never publish my book because what I was writing about didn't have a large enough audience. I'm about to drop book number 19. So when I read my book, it reminds me that I'm tougher than my moment is telling me I am. It immediately makes me get rid of that feeling sorry for myself thing that's happening right now. It immediately makes me release that victimization or that victimhood and shut it down. It reminds me that you're a beast. You've already gone through some things. You've already accomplished some things. You've already done some supernatural and spectacular things that other people are looking at and taking as a model and an example of what's possible. Square your shoulders up. Stand up. Put your chest out. Hold your head up. You're about to take on something that the world is looking at you do, that you're going to set an example that you cannot be broken. Here I am now, less than 30 days away from turning 50. I've regained about 85 to 90% of my range of motion. I'm about 60% to my strength, but I'm working. I'm in the gym consistently. I'm rebuilding. The Visionetics Institute is taking off. The Odyssey Media Group is taking off. Myriad Business Solutions is taking off. Master Fitness 21 is taking off. I'm building something that 8 months ago didn't look possible. 5 years ago looked scary. But right now, I'm telling you, I'm on the cusp of taking back everything that I lost and then some. And I ain't even got close to being finished yet because I read the book on the inside. I take an examination daily. I look in the mirror and I see the reflection and I see what I can improve on. But I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of pushing through it. I'm not afraid of fighting through it. I'm not afraid of facing what's in front of me and attacking it with a ferocity and an inexorable mindset and passion that will not relent. That is what you get when you start to read the book that you've written throughout your life. That thing that's on the inside. I'm not saying don't read books. I'm not saying don't hire a coach or hire a life strategist. That wouldn't be good for me. That's what I do. But see, I can't fix your life. What I can do is help you define what you're trying to do. What I can do is show you a way. But if you don't look inside, if you don't ignite a passion, if you don't discover the purpose within, if you don't sit up and make up in your mind that there's absolutely nothing that can stop you, like I told you, one of my greatest lines, and probably the greatest line in a movie to me, because it represents my mindset, is in a movie that you would probably not think it would be in, and that's the movie Lawless. And these Buntarant brothers are moonshiners, you know, and they're fighting against a corrupt cop system that's trying to rape them of all their profits. They're not trying to shut them down. They want them to keep running, but they want to take their money. And they're saying, no, you can't have it. And then the two older brothers are beasts. That middle brother is straight. He's got a reputation that he can't be killed. He's so tough. But the baby brother is smart, but he's not physically tough. He's not mentally tough. And he comes up with this new moonshine that's off the chain. But then the cops get wind of it, find out about it, go jump on him and his cousin, kill his cousin, and beat him within an inch of his life. And he's sitting there in the bar, which is the family business, which they run all their business through. He's sitting in the bar and he's telling his brother asks him, so what are you going to do about it? And his response is, I'm not like you. I'm not tough like you. I'm not fearless like you. And he walks over to him, and what he says to him totally sets the stage of how I live my life. He says, it's not the violence that sets a man apart. It's the distance he's willing to go. The problem with most people is they're not willing to go the distance. Toughness is not about violence. Toughness is about the willingness to go the distance. Toughness is about saying there's absolutely nothing I'm going to come in contact with or that I'm going to engage that's going to stop me. There's nothing I'm going to face that's going to break me. I'm telling you, 6 months ago, I couldn't use my arms. At the same time, I'm trying to rebuild a financial empire that totally collapsed on me. After experiencing the pinnacle, I'm at the bottom. And then while I'm trying to fight through that, I lose the ability to dress myself and bathe myself. That was back then. It hasn't even been a year yet. But I made up in my mind before I left that hospital. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to lay it down. I'm not going to sit up and feel sorry for myself. I'm going to get up and I'm going to dust myself off. I'm going to hold my head up. Boy, that's something about body posture too. There's something to holding your head up. Have you ever tried to square your shoulders and hold your head up and still feel sorry for yourself? Or did you get a little swagger when you squared your shoulders and you held your head up? Did you feel a little confidence coursing through your veins? Read that book. Read that book that you've written. That book on the inside. You know, read as many books as you need, but if you haven't researched and read and studied and annotated that book on the inside, that one you're writing every day in your life as you get up and make decisions, make choices, entertain thoughts, if you haven't read that book, if you haven't entertained that book, if you haven't mastered that book, anything else you read is going to be academic at best. Get up, master yourself. Get up. Master your life. Get up. Master the reflection in the mirror. Get up. Master the book you're writing every day with the decisions and the thoughts you're entertaining and making. Good morning, Marley. That's what is going to determine. It's the distance you're willing to go. It's not how violent you are. It's not how much you're willing to go out and scrap with somebody. It's when you get knocked down, will you get back up? What happens is most people get knocked down and then they go back to a place of comfort where they know they won't get hit again. And so you can't discover greatness. You can't accomplish greatness. You can't overcome the obstacles of life hiding in that comfort zone. You can't do that. You can't hide in that comfort zone and expect to experience greatness, phenomenal, extraordinary, exceptional. You got to get out and be willing to take some punches. You got to be willing to get knocked down, talked about, laughed at, ostracized, ridiculed. I've experienced it all. But I can look up now and say that all the things I've accomplished was because I got back up. I dusted myself off. It wasn't because somebody laid out a path for me. It wasn't because I never experienced or I was able to circumvent life struggles. No, I hit them head on. I just decided that life wasn't going to keep me down. Like Les Brown says, when you get knocked down, try your best to land on your back. Because if you land on your back, you can look up. And if you can look up, you can get up. And that's it. Once you get up, dust yourself off. Square your shoulders. Lift your head up. Walk out. Go out there and determine if you knock me down 75 more times, I'm going to get up 75 times. And I'm going to keep pushing. I tell people, part of the Warrior's Creed is if you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. If you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. If you're still breathing, you're here for a reason. If you're still breathing, your purpose is still intact. If you're still breathing, that's still a chance. If you're still breathing, that's still an opportunity to go out and make something exceptional, extraordinary happen. If you're still breathing, there's a chance to go out there and create a legacy. You've got to make the decision to read that book on the inside. Because I guarantee you, I don't care how bad you think your life is. If you go back and you read that book, that's somewhere where you should have been broken. You should have been gone. You should have been dead. But you're still here. You didn't get this far in life and not have overcome something, even if it was by accident. Read the book. That's it, man. I absolutely love talking to you guys. I love sharing. I love helping people find themselves, define themselves, and get out there. But I can't do any of that without you. I can't do any of that without you seizing the moment and discovering who you are and making a decision, a conscious decision to go out there and do something with your lives. You weren't designed for mediocrity. You weren't designed to be average. You weren't designed simply to exist. You definitely weren't designed just to survive. But you've got to make up in your mind that you're willing to go the distance. Oh, that's something. That's something. I'm telling you, I can't explain the feeling of having a mindset where you become fearless. Not because there aren't scary things out there, because no matter what, I'm not quitting. So if I make up in my mind that I'm not quitting, why am I going to get caught up in what I'm about to face? Because it doesn't make a difference. Now, I need to understand what I'm going to face so I know how to face it. But it's not going to determine whether I stop or start or not. I'm not stopping. That mindset, so to me, that's fearless. It's not that it's not something out there scary. It's just that it's not going to stop me no matter what. So I'm not even trying to evaluate how scary it is. I'm just saying, okay, let's do it. There are some things I'm going to have to face. As a matter of fact, the more I turn toward the road and the path of most resistance, which will have the most struggles, the most heartaches, the most pain, but the rewards, I can't tell. It's some people that took that easy road that had a decent life. But there's a big difference between decent and extraordinary, decent and phenomenal, decent and exceptional. There's a huge difference. There's a difference between decent and fulfilled. I don't want decent. I want everything I was designed to have. And I'm going to have it. And I invite you to go get it. I love you guys. As I always say, I'm going down E. That means I'm not taking one idea to the grave. I'm not taking one lecture to the grave, one book to the grave, one event to the grave, one opportunity to reach a life to the grave. Nothing. If it comes in my mind, I'm doing it. If it stands in front of me, I'm attacking it. And that is what I want you to develop, that type of mindset. It has been glorious this morning. Go out there and attack life. Go out there and get what belongs to you. Stop living lives with these colorless dreams and these dwarf goals and this minimized visions in order to experience comfort. Stop it. Go to the other side of comfort and attack life. Live in that zone where every moment is a challenge. That's where the rewards are. That's where the legacies are built. I love you guys. I hope to get back in front of you very soon, hopefully tomorrow. Been doing a lot of work on YouTube and Periscope, but I definitely don't want to forget what you guys have done for me on Facebook. When I inspire you, it inspires me. Again, make it a good day. I'm out of here. Peace.